This podcast contains explicit content.
Hardly Focused
presents. I think
the Acc and Jack Show.
I told myself, Mario, take it easy.
Jack.
Well, that's just fuck a doodle dandy.
You are listening to the Acc and Jack Show.
The balance beam.
Warren started marrying his own mothers after Owen died. That was really messed up. That was hard for people like me to swallow, and there's a lot of people that had a problem with that. I mean, who marries your mom?
Hey, welcome to the Acc and Jack fake radio show with Chris Acciardi and Jack Gill. You can get us at accandjack.com, accandjack.com. That is from a documentary that I watched recently called Keep Sweet, which is about this guy, Warren Jeffs, who at one point was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list for various forms of rape and underage things. But he is a polygamist from Utah. One of those guys who just had many, many wives. And there were a lot of interviews done with his family members and the people who had defected from the cult or church, however you want to look at it. And that was one of them. And that guy's my favorite because he was part of the family, and I think he had several wives himself, and then he defected. And while they're interviewing him, he's just wearing like a trucker hat that has a logo for an excavation company on it, and like a like a vest. And like guy's just total like blue collar now. Mm-hmm. And it's for him, it's like reliving Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm a crossroad trucker, but I used to be Arch Viceroy of the third dynasty of the Jeffries cult.
So that's a thing that I have been taking in is the polygamy stuff. It's not that I want to be a polygamist or a moron. I'm sorry, Mormon myself. But Becky is very interested in this, and I'm doing everything in my power to appease her and impress her. So, but I've taken a genuine interest in it.
In just cults and
the cults,
horrible people, and
yeah. Oh, absolutely. The cults especially. There's a game act that you should try. It's on the Switch, and it's called Sagebrush.
Okay.
And I know how you're a fan of the narrative heavy games.
Oh, yes.
And this one is done in the style of like an old PlayStation game. It's like faux 32-bit.
Huh, okay.
And it's almost like a walking simulator. You're not really doing...
I've played my share of enjoyable walking simulators.
You're not doing too much, but you play as a woman who escaped from a cult, some crazy religion, and returns to the site of where their church was, where their compound was, and it's like all abandoned and partially burnt to the ground, and she's just reliving memories as she's walking around, and you piece the story together as you are just navigating the compound and finding things that were left over. And it's not that long of a game, but it's really good. And,
interesting.
If you have any interest in these crazy cults, then
they are fascinating. I mean, a lot of this like really dark subject matter that I almost feel guilty to admit that I'm like intrigued by it. But like we recently watched the Netflix docudrama about Jeffrey Dahmer, and it's just fascinating. It's like, yeah, I get the argument of, we shouldn't, valorize these guys and turn their lives into exciting movies and all that. But God, it is just so interesting to see these people and the shit they do and the ways they justify it and explain things to themselves. And it's just fascinating.
Dahmer is a very interesting one. I mean, just when you really read into all the things he was doing in his apartment, for example. And I'll disclaim, I have not watched that Netflix docudrama, as you just mentioned, but like Neighbors, complaining about the horrific stench coming from his unit, and the police come by to investigate it, and he's just like, yeah, I have a bunch of meat in my freezer and it's spoiled. And they're like, oh, okay, I just you know, you don't want no rats coming in here, you know. And like, yeah, meat. But let me tell you about that meat I got, though.
Oh yeah.
Are you a fan of toes? Are you a fan of fingers?
Yeah, in the series they actually had Niecy Nash, and this was the first serious role I've ever seen her in.
From Reno 911, right?
Yeah, Reno 911. She was the next door neighbor, the apartment next door to Jeffrey Dahmer, who knew and had called the police several times to try to tell them, like, I'm hearing screaming from my neighbor's apartment. There's awful stenches coming from the vents. I'm hearing power tools and drills and buzzsaws at all hours of the night. And the police just said, he just seems like he's probably a quirky guy. Don't worry about it.
Jesus. Well, didn't, I don't know if this is when he finally got caught, but there was that, like, Laotian kid that actually escaped.
Yep.
And Dahmer, like, found him, and the police were, intervened, and he was able to convince the police that he was like, no, this is my Asian lover.
Yep.
And we got into a fight, and he ran away from home and forgot to put his clothes on because the kid was like wandering around naked and disoriented.
Exactly. Yeah. Dahmer had drugged him first. So he was totally disoriented. But yeah, the police were just like, all right, here you go.
Yeah. Here's your boy back. Yeah. We never saw him again.
Yeah. I can't imagine, like, if you were one of those people who had the chance to do something and didn't, and then found out, God, boy, would my face be red.
Yeah. I can't imagine that.
Pretty horrifying to think about.
Yeah. And is that one of those things, are you open about it? Do you talk about it? Do you like you take your story to the news, or do you take that to your grave, assuming no one finds out about it? Do you just live the rest of your life just like with that guilt, but not necessarily sharing it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I gotta check that out. It's who's playing him? It's not Evan Peters, is it?
It is Evan Peters. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
he did great.
He's a great actor. He's
fantastic.
Everything that he's in, like American Horror Story, and he was in the X-Men films too, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a very good actor. I'll tell you who's not a very good actor.
Go on.
Alex Jones. And
really, what's on his filmography?
Bankruptcy.
What's his IMDb page look like?
I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but this was like bizarre. Yeah. This interview that he did with Kanye or Ye, whatever the hell we're calling him now. And that
mind, I still whenever I see the letter Y and the letter E, I read it as Ye. And I have to remind myself, it's not Kanye, it's Kanye, but I still always want to say Ye.
I do the same exact thing. A few episodes ago, we talked about this because I was really, when I made the prep sheet, I was really proud of myself because I called the segment Controversy Ye.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, it doesn't make any sense because it's not actually his name.
Yeah.
But so Alex Jones, who had to file for bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy, because and rightly so.
May he die penniless, miserable, and in agony.
He's, what else I've noticed too is that kind of interesting being, someone who's heavily invested in recording equipment and broadcasting equipment. When that sack of shit started doing his thing, he was using like a really fancy broadcasting microphone.
All right.
And over time, like his equipment, like his set has looked fancier, but the recording equipment that he's been using has gone down in quality. It's like
interesting.
Yeah, it's I don't get it, but like
I will eat your ass.
Maybe it's like a way to make himself seem like the common man, I'm not the mainstream media with their fancy working microphones. I'm like you, Johnny Everyman.
Yeah, no, I don't want to dig. I don't want to I'm not going to name the company because they make things that I use that aren't microphones, but for like other peripherals. But they do make microphones, and they are not good microphones.
Huh.
And it's just interesting to see him using this brand now, and they're like USB microphones. I'm not knocking one because I know you use one, Acc, and I'm not, and it's not this. It's not the same brand as yours. I'm just saying, like, for that operation of that scale, you don't, you shouldn't be using USB microphones.
Yeah, I'm no Alex Jones. Let's just say what we're all thinking. He is a level of professionalism that I simply lack.
How badly though do you have to fuck up where even Alex Jones is like, I'm not touching that.
Pretty badly.
I'm not doing this.
And it's, I mean, God, there's so many layers to this that are fascinating, but it's interesting that the clear, logical conclusion of all of the bullshit that people like Alex Jones and Donald Trump spew is the kind of thing that only a deeply mentally unwell person can reach.
Yeah.
You get Kanye, I'm sorry, Ye.
I'm still gonna call him Kanye. I don't care.
Kanye. You get him off his meds. You let his utterly manic personality disorder completely take over, and you basically get Alex Jones, but like one step more honest about what he's implying.
Now you see Kanye on Infowars, and like, is your first, because this was mine, but was your first reaction like, oh God, this cannot bode well. This is not going to go well.
My first reaction was, why is he wearing a gimp mask?
Yeah, right.
I still don't know what the gag was there.
I think he had some like clothing brand that he was promoting, but I don't know, like, he didn't want people to see his face. Was he trying to mask his voice? But then he shows up and he's just like, hey, I'm Kanye.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then you failed miserably. We know who you are.
Reminds me of a bit in Always Sunny where Mac wants to like break into some random person's house, and he's like, I'll use an accent and pretend to be a Swedish plumber. Dennis goes, why? And Mac goes, so they won't know who I am. Dennis goes, they already don't know who you are. So the opposite of that is Kanye. It's like, I'm going to use an accent and wear a fake mustache, but I'm going to introduce myself as Kanye West. Yes, that Kanye West.
In his defense, it's not his name anymore, but it doesn't really help. It doesn't necessarily absolve him. So here's some audio from when Kanye was on Infowars with Alex Jones.
Son, you wait here while Daddy tries to talk some sense into this raven derelict. Slow down. Get out of there. These cocks stole every idea I ever had. He came into my room. Who's been stealing your thoughts? And they put everything. Did you ever read the old curiosity shop? They made that with a John Gilligan.
Not far off.
No, it's not. But like, I do think it's important to note that when people like Jones sort of throw their hands up in a panic, and, you know, when someone like Ye just openly says, you know, the Jews did this, and then Jones throws up his hands and go, whoa, let's not say that. I don't avow that rhetoric that all Jews are part of some vast conspiracy. It's bullshit, because they are espousing that same idea. They just like having the thinnest veneer of plausible deniability, and then having a human equivalent of the car crash sound drop just blurted out.
Yeah,
ruins that ability to have plausible deniability.
Maybe. Now, I don't listen to Infowars. I don't watch Infowars, but I did watch. There were clips while I was trying to find audio of what Kanye was saying. And disclaimer: do not support, agree, condone anything that Kanye said believes in, and same with Alex Jones.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Yeah, but for the purposes of making fun of both of these individuals, I'll feature the audio. But there were other things that, like Alex Jones, and then that other white supremacist that joined them yesterday. That
Nick Fuentes, he's been making the rounds all over the place lately, so I assume it was probably him.
Well, like, I don't know if like he and Kanye are doing like a media tour or something, because then they were at Mar-a-Lago recently too with Trump. But
well, that's say hello to your 2024 Republican presidential nominee. It's going to be Donald Trump, and he is going to openly campaign with people who believe that non-whites should be purged.
Yeah,
this is where we're heading, and
he's probably going to campaign. He's probably going to pick Jones as his running mate.
I wouldn't be surprised,
because it's not going to be Pence.
Yeah, I mean, God, the whole Trump went on Infowars in 2015 during the 2016 campaign season and told Jones, "You're wonderful. I love what you do. Thank you for your support. We're going to do great things for this country." So people who in like 2019 or 2020 started to think, "Gee, this Trump fella ain't such a great guy, is he?" I don't really have much sympathy for, because he was openly like this right from the beginning. If you didn't respond to his announcement that he was running for president in 2015 with nauseous horror, I'm going to kindly request that you stop having opinions on politics and listen to the people who knew then who he was, because we have better judgment than you.
Yeah. There's far too many people in this world, let alone this country, that have these beliefs. But the problem is, someone went into a position of power that had these beliefs. And then now you've got Kanye too, who's also in a different position of power, but he's very influential. He's a person of influence.
Yeah. Elon Musk too. He's going all in on the right wing agitprop on Twitter. The only people he ever interacts with are libs of TikTok, people like Nick Fuentes. You know, he's completely using his massive platform, millions of followers, and people who hang on his every word. To push these Hunter Biden conspiracy theories and what even is a Nazi anyway? That word is used so much these days. Just weird bullshit to muddle the waters.
I can't believe that we're still talking about Hunter Biden's laptop too.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost funny to me, right? Because I really think there's a strong appetite for conservatism in this country. I think by and large, America is a pretty conservative country. If the Republican Party actually ran on like gas prices and inflation, it'd probably do really well. But all they can fucking talk about is Biden's cool son has sex with hookers and also gay people exist. Boo. It's the worst. They're the worst at politics. They are so bad at this.
Yeah. Kanye too. Remember, he ran for president.
Yeah,
and his platform was, I forget what the term for it is, but it like ethnic, not ethnic, some sort of like, you don't believe in abortion, like you're against abortion, but you're also against like gay rights, like you're against literally everything.
Yeah. I mean, ran as a very conservative guy. And I think the idea, as I understand it, and this is just what I've heard from insider sources, quote unquote, the hope was that he would peel off disaffected black voters from the Democrats because enough of them would only vote for whatever black person is running. Thankfully and obviously that didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
Because that's not how, most people vote.
But it's called consistent life ethic. It's an ideology that opposes abortion, capital punishment, assisted suicide, and euthanasia. That's what Kanye was basing a majority of his platform on.
I'll be honest, I hadn't heard that phrase, which just shows how little I paid attention to his campaign.
Yeah. Not to dive into the specifics of it, but they have views on, as I mentioned, abortion, capital punishment, healthcare, in vitro fertilization, abuse of alcohol, other drugs, refugees. Oh, and here's one: wearing of masks during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah. Anyway, again, I'm playing this purely for the purpose of making fun of someone who could just be so mind-blowingly stupid and ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
But for real, here's Kanye on Infowars.
Well, that's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician, you can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good. And I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Especially Hitler. Oof. I shout out to regular guest of the show, Nate Fillers. He pointed out, for anyone who needs it spelled out, those things he just said about Hitler inventing highways and the microphone are not true.
Right.
Like, pretending for a moment that would offset the Holocaust and World War II and just millions of deaths and atrocities and pain and suffering. He literally did not do either of those things. So, bit of a whoopsie there.
Is he Dr. Evil? My father made frivolous claims like he invented the question mark. But I mean, Hitler, unfortunately, the VW, the Volkswagen, very popular vehicle, but that was brought to prominence because of the Nazis and because of Hitler.
Yeah, sure. I mean, world leaders tend to foster as much as they can developments in technology in various areas, and that's always going to be the case. But usually what happens, as is the case with Volkswagen, is their current leaders don't have Nazi ideology. Like, the leader of Volkswagen is not going to agree with Kanye that, oh, well, we were created by Hitler, so therefore he did some good things. No, that's not how people's minds work. That's not a normal way of thinking.
Yeah. I'm surprised that companies like Electro Voice, Shure, AKG, all these audio equipment manufacturers haven't been coming out and doing like what Skechers and like Adidas and all the other companies that Kanye was associated with, that all these other like microphone manufacturers coming out saying like we do not condone nor support the claims of Kanye West that Hitler invented the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Here's more of Kanye on Infowars.
The most Nazi-like activities I've seen, and the Nazis, in my view, were thugs that shook people down, did a lot of really bad things.
But they did good things too. We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
Okay.
Just like the okay.
Wow. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. At that point, you can tell that Jones himself was starting to get fed up.
Yeah. Like, again, it's one of those, look, we're supposed to coyly hint at these things. We're not supposed to come out and say them. You are fucking things up for us.
I know it's Jones and it's his shtick and it's what he does, but like maybe he's actually cognizant in that he's already on very thin ice with everything having to do with Sandy Hook. That the last thing he needs now is to be associated with Kanye with how outspoken he is on his anti-Semitic beliefs. Not that Jones is any better, but
yeah, I don't know. I think his whole thing being a rabble rouser, I don't know. It is interesting, though. It is interesting that he is making other really horrible people sort of pause and go, ew. Well, let's not phrase it exactly like that, please.
Here's more of this.
He said he loved Hitler. They gave him an award. I'm just saying, I don't like Nazis, and I don't like what some of the mafias are doing either.
I like Hitler.
He's just like, and that was going to like a break, I think, like a commercial break or whatever sponsorship that show has. And that was Kanye just trying to get like the last word in.
Yep. One last I like Hitler for old time's sake. Now, here's an interesting debate that I've seen multiple takes on. When this is my first time hearing the audio. I only read transcripts previously. When I first read them, my instant gut reaction was sadness. Like, because just knowing that Kanye has a history of mental illness that he is obviously struggling to keep under control, my first thought was, this is tragic. This is what it looks like to see someone with that manic or bipolar personality disorder just being told to spew every thought that enters your head by these right-wing provocateurs. But I've seen other people say, you really shouldn't feel bad for him because lots of people are mentally ill and not racist. So they're two different things you have to think of separately. Kanye could get treatment for his mental illness, which would stop him from openly saying these things, but that level of hate would still be in his thoughts. He would still hate Jews. He just would know not to blurt it out.
All right.
So mental illness doesn't create hatred. It just removes your filters, basically.
Yeah.
And I can see that argument. I'm not an expert on mental health.
Oh, yeah.
But that did sort of... So my gut reaction was that this is sad to see this guy. This is what, his mental health is doing to him. But I do get that pushback, that counter argument of, no, it's not sad. This isn't mental health. This is racism. That's different.
So a question, if he does get help and he does have some degree of clarity, which would be interesting because he's always been, for almost 20 years now, this way.
Yeah.
But looking back on all of this, and if he has any recollection of it ever happening, and again, it goes back to what I said earlier, he's in a position of influence. So like, it's a difference between like a crazy aunt who is offer meds and spouting a whole bunch of shit that she shouldn't be saying at the dinner table versus Kanye West, who is millions upon millions of fans.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very important distinction.
So Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the prime minister of Israel, this video looked like it was recorded off of someone's microwave. The audio is that bad. But Kanye went like full-blown Carrot Top during his interview, and he brought props with him.
Yeah.
He brought like a butterfly catcher, like a butterfly net. And then
I had this joke explained to me because I didn't get it at first. He was carrying a net, and the voice he was using was supposed to sound like he was going, yoo-hoo. So it's supposed to be net in yoo-hoo.
Well, he also had a bottle.
Yahoo.
Yeah, well, he had a bottle of yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like chocolate milk. It's like chocolate something.
Yeah.
Chocolate beverage.
Yahoo.
Sludge.
Just drink it.
But here's that.
I was tired of picking up the Yahoo and the netting, so for now he's just netting. I know some people call him BB. No, some people call him Yahoo, but we're gonna call him netting. What you want, netting? Hey, yeah, right after this, I'm gonna say you're crazy. I'm gonna take your family away from you. We're not done with you yet. You cannot cause free thought. We have to control the history books. We have to control the banks, and we have to go and kill people. Also, we're in the pedophilia.
So, and in a little while, hopefully you're going to take the mask off, because is this actually yay here?
Oh man, that was terrible.
It's deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah. And imagine that the makers of Yoo-Hoo coming out and saying that they do not associate themselves with Kanye West.
Yep. Stinky Peterson is and will always be our only spokesperson.
All right, last clip, I promise.
Oh my goodness! Just because you don't like one group doesn't mean the other. But look,
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Oh man! Well, I have to disagree with that.
That was the part that was like sort of mind blowing.
Yeah,
Jones coming out and just saying, "Nope, I'm not going there.
Yeah,
I'm not doing this. Not happening." It was bad too when I started getting a bunch of notifications yesterday. Like from TMZ and CNN that were reporting on this, but not in past tense. Like now, unfortunately, it's kind of giving like some free press and promotion to Alex Jones and Infowars, but they were like basically like live tweeting it, almost saying like, "Hey, this is happening right now. If you tune in to Infowars, you're going to hear Kanye West going on just a never-ending anti-Semitic rant, having a mental breakdown of sorts."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, it is the constant tricky argument of what is the best way to deal with these people. Do you broadcast their hate so that you can like argue against it publicly, or hope that people realize, oh, this is fucking crazy, I don't like that at all? Or do you try to hide it and censor it and not share what they're saying because it will, unfortunately, there are a lot of really stupid people out there who will hear what Kanye is saying and go, I never really thought about it before, but he's right. We should love everyone, including Hitler. People are going to buy into that, because people are not very bright.
I talked about this a few episodes ago when we talked about Kanye and when the first time this came around.
Mm-hmm.
And someone that I was friends with on Facebook, someone I know personally, who was doing that, who was like, "You guys are missing the point. You really got to listen to what Kanye is saying." Like, no, I don't need to go into it. There's no dissecting someone saying, "I like Hitler."
Right.
There's no diving into someone saying that Hitler did nothing wrong. No, that is very clear cut.
Yeah.
There's no argument there.
A lesson that was very hard for me to learn growing up is, we like to think of ourselves as sort of like supreme arbiters of logic and reason, where, the most coherent and concise and logically consistent argument from point A to point B is the best one, and emotions have no place. Facts don't care about your feelings. But like, and yes, to a point, I agree with all that. But like, that is kind of exactly how you end up at the place of eugenics. It is okay to not have an argument aside from, that feels really fucking shitty what you just said. I don't like that. Shut the fuck up. I'm not listening to what the hell you're saying. I think when it comes to, that certain things like, oh, the Nazis had some good ideas, or we need to love Hitler, it's okay to not have like, I'm going to sit down and debate you on this, debate with you on this, on the facts and the logic. No, fuck you. That's my reason. Shut the fuck up. And I think it's okay to have that kind of emotional reaction. There's nothing wrong. It's a good thing to hear people apologize for Nazism and feel disgust at that. That feeling is a good thing to have.
Yep. I do feel bad for Jewish friends of mine who have to, what they must be thinking and going through having to listen to this.
Yep.
Because it almost seems like it's never ending for them. Like there's always going to be a degree of, hate and vitriol, but now it just feels like it's being significantly amplified now, and it doesn't. It shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be.
And there are proven statistical correlations of stochastic terrorism, right? You get someone like Donald Trump getting the presidential nomination using extremely xenophobic and anti-immigrant rhetoric, and you start to see that year a sharp increase in xenophobic and anti-immigrant hate crimes.
Yep.
And people can argue until they're blue in the face. So Donald Trump never told anyone to go out there and beat up immigrants. He never told you to blow up mosques. He would never condone this. He disavows completely. They take it way too far. But you know what? These people are hearing what he's saying. And the conclusion they're coming away with is, yep, guess I'm going to go kill some brown people.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
And there are absolutely going to be people doing the same thing with Kanye.
Yeah.
Saying, well, there you heard it here first, folks. Kanye gets it. The Jews, they're a problem. They got to go. Please do not cut that out as a soundbite. That was me doing a bit.
Disclaimer. Well, if I may segue, someone who is just, he's pretty bad. It might be extreme to say just as bad, but then that might give away the connotation I'm giving him some sort of degree of respect, which I'm not. But Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. Vladimir Putin. You see what I did there?
Poopin' Putin.
According to the New York Post, Acc, thank you for sharing this with me.
You're welcome. And disclaimer, I know New York Post isn't always the best source, but this was too fun an article not to share anyway.
Well, especially how they titled it too. Putin fell downstairs, soiled himself as speculation over worsening health grows.
I've soiled the good Krusty Krab name! Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it!
The difference here being, of course, Putin did not have a good name to soil in the first place, just a good pair of pants.
Yes. Now, Putin, now it's not been like confirmed, but it's all but confirmed that he's very ill.
Mm-hmm.
He's got cancer.
Yeah.
Do you think if Putin dies, then, because I don't know, I'm literally ignorant to all of this. He dies. Does someone then segue into his position who continues this bombardment invasion of Ukraine, or are there people below him that are more normal minded who would then say let's pull out and not try to bring back the Soviet Union and ignite the Cold War again?
My understanding is that the invasion of Ukraine is extremely unpopular and more or less a legacy project of Putin. He wants to unify Russia once again and to cement his name in history. While obviously the politics might be a bit more complex, I believe Putin's death would probably immediately lead to, if not a withdrawal, then at least like a severe de-escalation.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
All right. It does make me think of like early on in the war when Russian soldiers were just straight up just like surrendering. Like, we don't want to be here.
Yeah.
We don't want to do this.
Yeah, it's as far as I'm aware, and again, there is propaganda, making some people excited, but it does, by all accounts, seem to be extremely unpopular.
Okay.
Among both the citizenry and like other people in politics. It's just one of those situations where, if you've got an authoritarian dictatorship and people have a bad habit of falling out of third story windows if they criticize your leader, you're not going to hear a lot of, opposition openly saying, if I am the next leader of Russia, I will pull out of Ukraine. That's not really openly on the table.
Communism, am I right? So according to the New York Post, Russian President Vladimir Putin fell down the stairs and soiled himself this week amid mounting speculation that his health is declining. An anti-Kremlin Telegram channel with apparent links to a security team reported. Putin, 70, suffered the unfortunate fall at his Moscow official residence on Wednesday evening, according to the Telegram channel General SVR, which purports to be run by a former Russian spy. The ailing Russian leader allegedly fell down 5 steps before landing on his coccyx, or his tailbone.
His cockies.
Although his security guards immediately rushed to his aid, the impact of the fall caused Putin to, quote, involuntarily defecate due to, quote, cancer affecting his stomach and bowels, according to the channel.
Fake news. I meant to shit myself.
It was
purely voluntary, I assure you.
It was always in the cards. Here's audio of Putin falling and injuring himself and pooping himself in the process.
That wasn't me. No. Oh, ow. That one hurt. That wasn't me.
Well, if you don't have the image to go along with that, it sounds very provocative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, actually.
If you've never watched that. But yeah, Putin sucks. He's no better than Trump.
Couldn't happen to a nicer dictator.
Truly no better than Trump.
Mm-hmm.
General SVR said, quote, 3 bodyguards helped the president get to the nearest couch and summoned medics who were on duty at the residence. The Post noted that a special investigation was being carried out to determine the cause of the president's fall. Well, let's see. He's 70 years old. He has cancer.
You remember that old story about the Roman emperor? I'm drawing a blank on his name. He was a particularly insane one who decided to declare war on the ocean and sent his army out with their swords to hack and slash away at the tide.
And nobody did anyone like stop to think that this was a little crazy?
No, of course not. Well, that's what they're going to do to gravity. They're going to say that we have uncovered the nefarious force behind Vladimir Putin's fall and have decided to wage war on gravity.
Caligula. Yeah, that's who it was.
Thank you.
Yep. According to Roman historians, in November 37 CE, Caligula underwent a serious illness that changed his behavior. One of his ideas was to declare war on Poseidon. He ordered his soldiers to go to the beach and stab the sea in waves with swords and throw spears at them.
Yep.
That's something that Kanye would fucking tell people to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that come up in the next few months.
Looking for the lost city of gold.
Yep.
The Loch Ness Monster. Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Kanye tries to open Jurassic Park. Tries to bring dinosaurs back from the dead.
It worked out so well all those other times.
All right, that's enough, I guess, devastating, stressful, serious news. I do have one more for you, though.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more lighthearted.
On the lighter side.
A woman in Florida suing Kraft, the food company Kraft, manufacturer, because macaroni and cheese, their Velveeta macaroni and cheese specifically, takes longer to make than advertised.
Go on.
According to CNN, the label on a cup of Velveeta's microwavable mac and cheese says the meal only takes 3.5 minutes to prepare, but a Florida woman says this is false, and she's suing the manufacturer for $5 million.
How long does she say it takes to prepare? 3 minutes, 45 seconds?
Probably. So cup says 3.5 minutes. But the woman's attorneys, according to this article, argue that the number doesn't account for the 4 other steps required to prepare the pasta. Oh my God. It's not just the microwave part. Okay.
Okay. So the box probably says mac and cheese in just 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's microwave for 3.5 minutes. And then however long it takes you to open it, put it in a plate, stir it. Oh my God. That's almost brilliant. I'm almost not even mad.
Yeah. Removing the lid in sauce pouch, adding water, microwaving, and stirring. Probably also doesn't mention if it says like let stand for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Who has that kind of time?
Quote, the additional steps mean it's impossible for the mac and cheese to be ready in just 3.5 minutes. Kraft Heinz Foods Company dismissed the lawsuit as, quote, frivolous in a statement. That's almost, that reminds me of the I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately.
Mm-hmm.
But Beck and I watched one called Pepsi, Where's My Jet? Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, yes. I have not watched it.
Or all you needed to do was add a disclaimer, add some extra text that, well, a simple sentence can not like absolve you, but it can cover your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we do that with this podcast. We put a disclaimer at the beginning that says, you know, there's explicit content because we like to say words like poop,
yeah,
and fuck,
pee pee,
and shit,
pee pee poo poo.
But also, there's also the disclaimer that says that the opinions are our own because it's us trying to cover our asses. So that you got to put disclaimers down. And there's probably nothing on anywhere on the packaging for Velveeta that says there's more time involved than just how long you have it in the microwave. Although, like, their argument too also is that it cooks in 3.5 minutes. You can fucking take an hour. You can take your sweet time taking everything apart and assembling it. But the actual cooking part should take about 3.5 minutes. If you want to spend an hour somehow removing the cheese pouch and
you did not take into account how far I have to drive to the nearest appliance store where I can purchase a microwave.
I struggle with simple tasks. You don't know how long it takes me to take off that plastic lid.
Well, I'm reminded one of my absolute favorite bits from the game Undertale is you know, there's various, as in many RPGs, there's various food items you can get throughout the game that you can eat in combat to replenish your health. And most of them, it'll just be like, you got a cheeseburger. You use the cheeseburger. The text will say, you ate the cheeseburger, gained 60 health. There's one item in the game called the cup of instant noodles. And if you try to use that one, it triggers like a 3-minute dialogue in which it explains you are opening the packet, boiling a bottle of water, waiting for it to boil. It is done boiling. You put the noodles in the water. You are now waiting for it to cook. It's the single longest recovery item in the game to complete.
And you can use it during a battle too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it just pauses the battle while it's doing all this. But while every other item in the game is instant, the one that says instant is the only one that isn't.
Is there dramatic music playing in the background too when you're in the battle? I gotta say, I Undertale, like, Toby Fox he's an accomplished musician. I think they just wanted to have an avenue to showcase his music.
Oh yeah. So I don't use Spotify. I use YouTube Music, but they have their version of Spotify Wrapped that I just got.
Okay.
And it has your top songs for each season. And it was one of these things is not like the other. Spring was a Punch Up at a Wedding by Radiohead.
Okay.
Summer was Porno by Arcade Fire.
All right.
Autumn was You Don't Have the Room by Amy Mann. And winter was Attack of the Killer Queen by Toby Fox.
Nice. Okay. What do you think about Win Butler from Arcade Fire? All these allegations coming out against him.
I have a lot of complex thoughts about it, most of which are it really sucks and I wish it weren't the case, but I believe that it's probably true.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of went through this with Jesse Lacey and Brand New several years ago, and that didn't stop me from being an enormous Brand New fan.
Yeah. The way I think of it is, I think that without excusing it, I think that is just a massive part of rock and roll culture. And like every beloved rock star in modern human history, if they weren't canceled for sexual misconduct, it was probably just because they died before that became a thing.
Oh yeah. There was
I doubt any of them didn't commit some like extremely questionable acts with their groupies. I would be surprised. And again, that's horrible. I wish that weren't the case. And I hope we punish them going forward to dissuade that behavior. But like, I also don't want people to think, wow, it sucks that Win Butler is unique in doing this. No, if you've ever listened to a musician, that musician was probably a sex pest.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like no one thinks twice about like the great rock bands of the 70s and the 80s and just the debauchery, like everything that they showed in The Dirt, which was about Motley Crue. And that no one has come out to complain about them or the the guys from Kiss, for example.
Yeah, because by the time people started to realize, oh, I can complain about this. It's okay to come out and say this was a bad thing that happened. It was already over for decades.
Right.
So they just got away with it.
This is obviously, I got to tread this line carefully, but I do like that Arcade Fire just. They're still touring. They're not, venues didn't drop them, but obviously, like, it sucks that this big tour that they had planned with Feist and Beck, that both Beck and Feist pulled out. And I don't, I'm not going to hate on either of them for their decision.
Why did I think Beck was dead? Who am I thinking of?
Bowie? David Bowie?
You just said Beck pulled out, and I was like, I really thought he was dead.
The hologram. No, Beck.
There was like a year, like 2 or 3 years ago, where a bunch of beloved musicians died all in the same year, and I probably just like invented a couple, like threw them in there in my mind.
Yeah, I called it the Great Celebrity Genocide. It was 2015. Yeah. It was like every great musician and celebrity, and Bowie included, all died that year.
Maybe I'm thinking of Bowie. Maybe the B sound just confused me.
They kind of look the same too. That's why I immediately went to Bowie, because he looks a little bit like Beck looks a little bit like Bowie. But I'm not going to knock them for pulling out of the tour, but like I'm also happy that like Arcade Fire 2 also isn't like they're denying this and they're continuing on. And they're not letting it stop them. It might affect degrees of success that they have in the future, but people are still going to their shows. They're not getting booed or attacked or anything. It's obviously still news. It's not something to take. You can't take it lightly, but at the same time, like everyone's done something terrible in their life, right?
Yeah, it's a very tricky thing to say, but like again, what are you going to do? Never listen to music again? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Best I can hope for is that if these allegations are true, they're proven, and that there is some sort of repercussion. And going forward, we will have more. I think as time goes on, we are getting more and more men who don't just paw at every woman who comes within swiping range. And hopefully that trend continues.
Yeah.
As more women speak out and say that shit isn't cool.
A band I like, Dance Gavin Dance, their frontman was accused on Reddit by 2 people on Reddit, one of whom was later proven through various means of being an absolute maniac, so their word couldn't really be taken as gospel. Unfortunately, the other accusations, it was pretty legitimate, accusing the frontman of rape. And he didn't officially leave the band. He, quote, stepped away from the band,
right?
Went to rehab, completed rehab, and the band released a statement saying, we welcome him back.
Yeah.
And people, there's a like a line straight down the middle of people who are like, good, don't let this bring you down. And the other side of people who are just like, well, fuck you guys. Why would you support someone this bad? But also frontman's also like, I'm vehemently denying any of this happening.
Right.
Problem with Jesse Lacey from Brand New is that he immediately came out, admitted everything, said, yes, I did this, but I apologize. And that was the end.
Yeah.
They've been inactive ever since that happened.
Yep.
By the way, my Spotify rap for 2022, my top 5, starting at number 5, the Gaslight Anthem, the Goo Goo Dolls, Jimmy Eat World, the Wonder Years, Brand New.
The 90s have never ended.
So
they're more like early 2000s.
All these, not necessarily the Goo Goo Dolls, but all these other bands, early to mid 2000s. But yeah, Brand New, especially, like I don't say like I give a shit, but like I'm still gonna love Brand New. When all this stuff came out, I was like, I don't care. I love Brand New. I will forever be a Brand New fan.
Yeah.
But
could be worse. Could be on Alex Jones advocating for Nazis.
If Jesse Lacey was doing that, I'd be okay. I can't listen to Brand New anymore. I saw someone that a friend of mine shared their Spotify Wrapped, and their top artist for this year was Kanye, and I'm just like, this is now that like separate the musician from the person, and like, can you really separate them? Like,
yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know, maybe listening to his older music is okay, but like if you were to release new music, don't buy the album kind of thing.
Sure.
Like I think that's a good line, a good rule to have.
Well, it's like me with Clapton, like I hate Clapton as a person, but as a musician, like he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I can also say the same about Morrissey too. I love the Smiths.
Yeah, exactly. God.
But I want lightning to strike Morrissey as it did with Drew Brees recently. So, all right. Acc, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You've reminded me that I need to finish Undertale. I saved.
Yes.
I'm on my second playthrough, and I saved right before the cooking show.
Oh, love it.
But I'm trying to do a pacifist playthrough, because the first time I played through, I didn't realize, hey, don't kill everybody.
Yeah.
That's actually how you get the worst ending. So I'm trying to get the best ending, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's much trickier.
Yeah.
But have fun with it. Oh, I love that game. I play it about once a year since it came out. Like every time, get to the end of the pacifist ending and there's tears.
I dropped. The problem is like, I should just start over, because like I dropped off with it. And
yeah, it's a short enough game that like what I usually do, what I did the last time I played it was a 3-day weekend.
Okay.
And like it was President's Day weekend or something. And I was like, I'm just going to divide it up. I'm going to play like 2 hours Saturday, 2 hours Sunday, 2 hours Monday. And then boom, you're done. Like, it's short enough that if you just set aside a block of time like that, you'll blow through it.
Yeah. I think it might be on Game Pass, but I have it on Steam. The thing is, because I've already beaten it once, like it remembers that you've beaten it, so you get like
there's little Easter eggs for multiple playthroughs.
And I like that. I like that there's references to all of that. That's good game development right there.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, I don't know if they'll change it at this point, but the Google Doodle, which I have to very clearly enunciate, Google Doodle is Jerry Lawson, the inventor of the video game cartridge.
Oh, yeah, I just clicked on it. Jerry Lawson.
And I guess there's actually a mini game maker that you can mess around with. So, the Fairchild Channel F, he came up with the idea of, instead of having the games programmed directly into the system, cartridges that you could swap out.
Neat. I was momentarily taken aback because I brought up my browser to see it, and I still had Ed Boon's face up there from earlier.
I don't work for the company anymore, so I can say it. That ugly motherfucker. Okay. Very good. Well, to the rest of you, I say thank you for listening. We will talk at you next time. See you. Bye.
Goodbye. might not have happened.